djlonghairorig here in the house. What's up, everyone? Little sick, so I'm not gonna be showing my face very often, as I'll probably be trying to mute the mucus for reals. All right, so we got weekly MTG coming up. Figure I'd cover it. It should have some spoilers for Innastrad. I'm still scratching my head. I know there are value cards, but what justifies the $400 price tag they're expecting us to pay for collectors? That's my big question, and why I'm watching. So sit back, relax. We're going to be, it should be live here in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and blip off of here, Beak, and try to find some more cold meds. This thing hit me hard, whatever the hell it is, man. It's some Bolsheviks. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hopefully you didn't get whatever this bug is flying around. Doesn't really feel like COVID. It feels like, I don't know, a little mix of strep. It's got the ears, throat, and mucus, and just sore throat. So kind of why I didn't play on Sunday. I've been in bed. I haven't eaten anything except for today for like 3 days. So it's been nuts. Hey, what's up, Investable? How you doing, buddy? All right, let's get over here. Okay, it should start up here pretty soon. Be about 4 minutes. I trust all is well for everyone out there. Chat should have started already.
Now taxes is getting the...
No, not yet.
Now taxes is getting the TurboTax app.
Yeah, bro, shut up.
Your taxes
Stop it.
yourself, 100% free if you
Right.
didn't file with us last year. Now this is tax.
Sorry, I don't want to be copyrighted for a commercial. All right, I'll turn the volume back on when we're there. I am going to Halo. Hopefully feel a little bit better. But yeah, dude, this thing has knocked me out all weekend. So I hope you guys don't get it. Really, it sucks. Oh man. Oh, there we go. We good now? Are you gonna play more commercials? Alrighty. So we know some of the cards that are out, but hopefully they'll show some more. I'm hoping that we see a Cavern of Souls that will jump up the interest for me a little bit, and a few others. But all the main hits from Innastrad have been way overprinted. So for me, I question myself on the daily, like, what is worth $400 for collectors in this? I mean, if you pull the serialized Edgar, sure, but I don't know. There needs to be more for me in the set to really, really hit me that way. I mean, if it was just a Mana Crypt and Mana Crypt was still legal, oh, dude, this would sell like gangbusters. You know what I mean? So, how's your New Year's been, everyone? Mine has been rocky at best. Got through this week and got super sick on Friday. Didn't realize it. Just had a sore throat and was having issues with my old vape, so I thought that's what it was. So I just kind of felt out of it, kept sleeping in and sleeping longer. Didn't get it. Talked to my dad, said, oh, they got over the sickness, and mine was just starting. And then Saturday on, I've been in and out of bed, just stuck in bed this whole time. So it's just like, bruh. Didn't eat Saturday, didn't eat Sunday, didn't eat Monday. And I finally forced myself to eat some chicken soup, and I still feel a little gnarly. So after the stream, I'll probably pass out again and be in and out of bed for a bit. Tonight, not planning much. Twiddler's live, so people get all weird if I do something while he's doing something, which is kind of messed up. But it is what it is.
Back
Wednesday.
to Weekly MTG.
Here we go.
Have been on break for a little bit, but we're back.
Tired of rambling.
An exciting show, and I've got a fantastic guest with us today to talk about Innastrad Remastered. That's right, Innastrad Remastered previews are happening this week. We're gonna pump that nostalgia right into our veins.
Yep.
And I couldn't think of anyone better to help us reveal a ton of cards today than someone who has a long history.
Yeah. Did we lose audio? Is it just me? Okay, it's the stream. Bruh. That was weird. All right, there's the spoilers. Yeah, no audio. Be right back. Okay. Blake's on it. I thought it was me, man, because my sound system likes to crap out on me during my live sometimes, and it's like, bro, is that it? Bruh. I like it. Blake, you had one job, bruh. Blake, I have several jobs. That's right. Yes. We're walking down memory lane of no audio. Awesome. Everyone's clowning him right now. Come on now. Yeah. Restarting. Here we go. That's right. New year, new technicality. Technical. Okay. Words. Technically is what they wrote. Technical issues is what it should say. That's right. They're just harkening back to Innastrad's horror roots by doing a silent movie portion of the stream, right? When awesome. Well, I'm only like technically like whatever because I'm sick, but at least my sound works, bruh. What is going on? Bruh.
This is Carl.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna see if it's on YouTube. They might have kept that one going. I don't know. No, ban and restricted list. Nothing for. Okay. Good times. $30 in. Do they have chat again? All of 5 minutes. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Well, shoot. Not sure what to do here. They should have the stream. Let me see if anyone else is covering this right now. I don't think so. Okay. Oh, wow, they're still going. Okay. Uh-oh. I don't want to deal with more ads. Okay, we're back. Okay, here we go, guys.
Hello and welcome back to Weekly MTG. We hope things are working now. We hope you can hear us. Yeah, everyone's getting back from break, including the computer.
Yep, we're still
the
figuring
sound
things
system.
out.
It's all just everybody needs their coffee. We're all good. But welcome back. We are talking Innastrad Remastered previews today. If you're not capable of lip reading, this is Melissa DeTora. Melissa is here today to talk about all things Innastrad Remastered. We're going to preview a ton of cards. And Melissa has a long and storied history with both the plane of Innastrad and the set Innastrad Remastered. So first of all, why don't you tell us about your history with the plane, with cards from the sets of Innastrad?
All right. Yeah, so back in the day, during the first Innastrad sets, I was a Pro Tour player. So very heavily into the game back then, playing a lot of Magic, playing on the Pro Tour. And my first top 8, which was at PT Gatecrash about 12 years ago.
I was covering that event, yep.
Yeah. I can't believe it was that long ago. But the standard format did feature Innastrad. It was like Ravnica, Return to Ravnica block and Innastrad block.
Yeah.
So the deck I played had some Innastrad cards. Definitely had Restoration Angel. Had Cawstick Wolfrun for sure.
Yep. Yeah, and there were a lot of Aristocrats cards, and I think Tom Martell won that one.
Yeah, he won that one. He beat me in the quarterfinals with his Aristocrat deck that had a
Yep.
ton of Innistrad cards like Falcon Wrath, Aristocrat, and other cards that have Aristocrat in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been playing with Innistrad cards for a very long time, but you also have been involved with designing Innistrad sets, including this one.
Yeah. So this is a pretty atypical set in terms of how we developed it, but we were working on this set way back in the day, back in 2020. So the plan was to make an Innistrad remastered set that featured the first set of Innistrads and then the second set of Innistrads. And then Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow, we were still working on those sets, so they were not in the plan. So it was like the initial plan was just those sets. So we worked on the set. I was heavily involved in it. And then we decided, hey, we're going to actually table this set for a little bit and release some other products instead, and then revisit it later. And then when we revisited it later, JC Tao took over as the lead. I was no longer involved in the set. And then since it was some number of years later, we decided to add the 2 later Innistrad
Midnight Hunt
sets.
and Crimson Vow.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. So it's kind of a more complete look at Innistrad. So cool. All right. So what we're gonna do, we have commons show off, we have uncommons, we have rares, mythics, booster fun. We're showing off dozens of cards today. So we're gonna start relatively simple, but definitely nostalgic with some commons. So let's take a look at our first set of 6 preview cards. Now, Melissa, before the show, we were also talking, and you mentioned that you, when you first started, one of your first sets was an Innistrad set.
Yeah, when I first started, that was during Shadows over Innistrad and Eldritch Moon. They were in, like, back then we had design and development rather than vision design and set design, different process, but roughly the same type of work that we do. So I was on the development team for Eldritch Moon.
Yay, more new
So
art for a
Wretched
braid.
Wolf was a card
Woot.
that I worked on a lot, play tested a lot. One of my favorite commons in the set. So
Versus
love
Delver.
seeing this one here.
And of course, Delver's a classic. And during that time when you were pretty active, Delver was one of the big decks.
Yeah, I didn't play a ton of Delver myself, but played against it a lot. During this time frame, I was playing a lot more of the French rights decks with like Craterhoof Behemoth and Self Mill and stuff. That was more my jam back then. But I did play Delver actually a lot in Legacy.
Yeah. And we've seen Delver kind of go to the side, but it's definitely an Innistrad classic, and it's not the last we're going to talk about that card as we go through here. But now we've got some kind of limited staples. Deranged Assistant looks a little weird, but tell us about how this fits into the Innistrad ethos.
Yeah, so a couple things. One is I'm not even sure this is in Color Pie anymore. It might be. I don't know. Color Pie people can correct me if I'm wrong here. But this is like a very important piece for the self-mill decks, adding mana and also getting cards into your graveyard. The card is like, it's a one random card, so you don't always get what you want, but like over turn, you get to fill your graveyard while you're also ramping. So
Yeah, and you'll hear, we're going to talk more specifically about draft archetypes as we go through this, but you'll hear a little bit as we go along. Like with Olivia's Dragoon. Again, it looks like, why would you want to discard a card to give your 2/2 flying? But this plays a pretty important role in the world of Innistrad as well.
Yeah, Madness. Madness is something that's featured in the set. It was also featured in, what was it? It was a Crimson Vow, right? It was maybe it was actually in 2 of the Innistrad years, but yeah, important for Madness. You got to have ways to discard your cards to get your Madness discounts, and this is a great way of doing that while also beating down with a flyer.
Yeah, and it's a vampire, which is going to be a creature type that matters in this. And then we've got a couple of just straight up powerful cards here.
Yeah, Braid is just flexible removal spell. You can use it to kill a creature or destroy some equipment, which like is pretty prominent in Innistrad sets. So the artifact destruction, not often relevant in sets that a Braid is printed in, but this one very relevant. And then we have Faithless Looting, which is another graveyard filling card. You know, Madness Enabler, get your spider spawnings in the graveyard, that kind of stuff. So
recently unbanned in Modern.
Oh yeah, very true. Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see if we see any fancy versions of that as we go along. Let's take a look at our next group of cards here. There we go. So we've got a set of 10 uncommons here. Just, pretty great uncommons that all signal different cool things you can do in the archetype. Let's start with the Town Gossip Mongers, which look a little unassuming, but oddly enough are one of the most aggressive cards in the Innistrad world. Yeah,
the white decks are like go wide in tokens. So like you'll have excess tokens running around to tap this to satisfy the condition. And also it's a 1-drop for your red-white aggro decks.
It's a human for human synergies, and we can see the backside too. You can see that once you do flip it and it becomes rabble, as they were, it also changes color into red.
Are we going to flip it?
There it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yep. And it's also a nice mana sink for those times where you've drawn too many lands and need something to do.
Yep, exactly. And of course, the Dawsons of Perfection and Perfected Form is the uncommon in the cycle of Delvers, if you will. Got played less in tournaments, but nonetheless very Innistrad. Now let's talk about Forbidden Alchemy, because Melissa, this one also saw a good bit of standard play in its day.
Yeah, it saw some standard play. I remember it mostly from like enabling limited strategies, stuff like the Burning Vengeance strategy or the Spider Spawning strategy. So I remember like drafting this card really highly.
Yep.
Back in the set, but yeah, it saw play in like I remember Esper Control. It was seeing play.
In the Drownyard decks that we were talking about beforehand.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The blue-black Drownyard decks. It was a blue-black control deck that won only with Nephalia Drownyard, just milling the opponent.
Yeah, and let's skip ahead a little bit. So you mentioned the Burning Vengeance decks. That's that lower left card. This was a favorite of mine to draft back in the day. I probably overdrafted this, but if I saw Burning Vengeance, I don't know about you, but I was playing Burning Vengeance.
Yeah, definitely. If I was kind of drafting to just kind of try things out, I would maybe draft Burning Vengeance. You have to really get the right pieces for it to work back in Innistrad. It's more supported in this set because it was so fun back then. We wanted to make sure that if you drafted a Burning Vengeance you could actually do the thing.
Mhm.
But back then I remember it was very hit or miss. Like if you took it early and got the right pieces, it could work, but sometimes you would just have a train wreck. But yeah, I also love drafting Burning Vengeance. It's like super fun, like sideways things to do.
Well, and you see here how much of this set is focused on the graveyard, because not only do you have Burning Vengeance, and Forbidden Alchemy, but Rise from the Tides, Haunted Dead, Noose Constrictor does several different things. So talk about overall the graveyard in Innistrad.
Yeah, like so a lot of colors, a lot of strategies for graveyard stuff. You have like get as many cards in the graveyard and then win with the spider spawning strategy. You have just value stuff like cast mill your stuff, cast your flashback cards, and then like you have the madness that works with the discard. So a lot of different ways to use the graveyard.
Okay. I also want to point out Ghoul Tree got a downshift. That's a 10/10 that you can cast, hopefully for cheap.
It's a 10/10 for 1 mana if you're doing it right.
If you're doing it right, discard your hand to Noose Constrictor, all creatures. There you go, 1 mana Ghoul Tree. Thermal Alchemist though is an upshift, which we were talking about for the show.
That first printing was a common, and it was super strong, and also not really that fun at that frequency because it's not very interactable. It's just like if you cast spells, you get to damage your opponent. So the opponent either needs removal, but they can't interact with it with like creature combat or anything.
Right.
So at common, if you get a lot of them, like the games can be a bit frustrating. So we wanted to upshift it to uncommon in future Innistrads because it's just like more fun when it's showing up a little bit less.
Mm-hmm. And then I do want to talk a bit about Noose Constrictor because again, for the olds like us, we remember Wild Mongrel back in the day being this dominant card. And you were telling me that this card was actually contentious while it was being developed.
Yeah, during development, we were like, would it be cool to have a Wild Mongrel? No way, that card is way too strong. We can't do a Wild Mongrel. It was like a constructed all-star, powered out madness stuff and like kind of could just kill the opponent if you had cards in your hand. So we were a little bit worried about making a card like it, but we put it through its paces and ran it through FFL anyway. It turned out to be not that strong of a card.
Yeah, it turns out, the color changing was not the important part of Wild Mongrel, but maybe it was a little more important than we thought.
Turns out 2001 was a different time.
It was a slightly different time. All right, so here is a bunch of uncommons. Let's see some more uncommons. So this is where we're going to see a lot of the draft archetypes really shine through. So we're going to get to the 2 green cards and the cleaver in a second, but let's, Melissa, talk about the signpost uncommons. You were telling me something interesting about the difference between when you worked on the set and when JC was working on the set.
Yeah, so the fun fact is that during original Innistrad, there were no signposts uncommons. We didn't really have that technology back then to do like, have a loud 2-colored card that pulls the player into an archetype. It was just kind of a lot more random. And then I don't remember when signpost uncommons became a thing, but it was like maybe sometime later. And then the future Innistrad sets did have the signpost uncommons. But when I was working on the first iteration of Innistrad Remastered, we didn't have enough signpost uncommons to pull from. Like we didn't have access to Blood Type Harvester or Join the Dance, for example. So we were really struggling with like, how do we like pull the players into the right archetype? Like we had travel preparations as our green-white back then.
If you don't know, if you never played in a format with travel preparations, a card looks unassuming, is kind of busted.
Yeah, it's super snowbally. Like if you go
just play booster and collectors.
Also, I believe it was a common back then.
So there will be a pre-release.
It was a common originally.
Yeah, they'll give us that date soon.
Yeah, so like I was saying, when JC took over the set a few years later, we were able to use Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt, and we had a lot of really fun signpost uncommons to pull from. So that's why we have like the newer ones you see here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why these are pretty much all newer cards. So let's talk about the archetypes a little bit. Now, this is a remastered set, so there's a lot of cool things you can do in this deck. You see, for example, the Grizzled Ghoul the Grizzly Ghoul in the lower left, which cares about creatures dying. Now, a lot of the times your black-green deck's going to be maybe a spider spawning deck. So there's a lot of these are signposts and commons, but there's a lot of texture to this set. So blue-black zombies, cool. Black-red vampires, cool. Black-red vampires and madness.
Yeah, madness. Yep.
Madness.
I
So
can
the
guess,
Blood-Tithe
but
Harvester
there's
is
not.
perfect there.
They haven't explained it. No.
Flesh taker. It's really creepy art when you look at
Yeah.
it. Also, human assassin.
Yeah,
Forgot
weird
that card's
that
an
it's a human.
assassin. Need to put that in my assassin's green deck. Anyway, so flesh taker, human assassin lets you sacrifice creatures for value. Grizzly ghoul cares about when things die. Join the dance. As you said, tokens go wide. Join the dance and travel preparations. Best friends.
Yep.
And then we've got the waltzer. What is white red kind of trying to do?
Well, when I was working on the set, it was like a go wide, like
Mhm.
Rally the Peasants was like the finisher, play a bunch of tokens. So that's kind of what this card looks like it's doing.
Yeah.
So it's probably still doing like that token go wide stuff, pumping your team.
Yep. And if you like spiders, again, we've got blue-green self-mill. Now, oftentimes, Melissa, and this I think was true back then, is the spider spawning decks were often 3 colors. They were often
Yep,
like
they were.
blue, black, green. Looks like you're likely to do something similar here. And then Wandering Mind cares about getting all those sweet instants and sorceries. Non-creature, non-land cards. Now, I want to spend some time. So Splinter Fight is another downshift. So from rare to uncommon. But I want to spend some time talking about Butcher's Cleaver.
Oh yeah.
This card was infamous.
Oh, thank you, Casey, for
This
looking
card
it
killed
up.
me a lot back in the day.
And it usually did so paired with Invisible Stalker. Now, Melissa, is Invisible Stalker in this set?
Invisible Stalker is not in this set.
Okay, so we're not terrorizing
Yeah,
people
so
with that again.
we're not going to kill you with an uninteractable, unblockable lifelinker. That's impossible to race.
Yeah. But Butcher's Cleaver itself, when not paired with a hexproof unblockable creature, is a fun card. It's just a big lifelink thing.
Yeah, it's also like a risk to play it and equip it. It's a lot of mana.
It is a lot of mana.
Yeah, it's a lot less of a risk when your thing has hexproof, but that's not happening here.
I'm sure players will find some other ways to swing in with big cleavered creatures. All right, let's move on to our next sets of previews. So we're going to start looking at some of the rares and mythic rares. Up first, and of course, we had to finish out the cycle, the Dozen of Perfection. Now, Melissa, were you involved with this card when it was originally designed?
I believe I must have been. Can you remind me what set it was in? It was in the last one, right?
Yeah,
Or,
it was.
yeah, definitely. I was on the set team for Midnight Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Was this one in Midnight Hunt or Crimson Vow?
I don't know.
Sorry,
Time is a
chat. I don't
construct.
remember.
Yeah. Chat will tell us.
But like since back then, I was doing competitive balance and FFL work. I did play test all of these cards in Constructed.
Yeah, and note, we're going to show you rares and mythics. Then we're going to move on to booster fun. So if you're wondering if any of these have cool treatments, we are going to get to that shortly. Thing in the Ice, though, also a pretty classic Innastrad card, and it still occasionally shows up in Phoenix decks or sideboards. But this is a really cool card.
Yeah, this one is cool for Cube. I remember playing this in Constructed back in the day and Standard.
Right, Casey?
Really fun
for
card
sure.
to build around.
Where's
and
the anime
draft too,
cards?
if you can manage
Where's the
to
anime
draft
text?
one.
Yeah, and yeah, if you draft this card, then you're definitely wanting to go like blue-red spells, maybe black-blue. But yeah, a lot of cool things to do with Thing in the Ice. Next up, let's move to the next. All right, we got a lot of interesting things here. People are going to focus on Hermit Druid and a little bit on Maelstrom Pulse. So Melissa, talk a little bit. This was one of the differences between when you worked on the set and when the set was handed off.
Yeah. So like I was saying, when I was working on the set, it was a very different time. We had less sets to pull from. We were also still learning what makes a cool remastered set. So the only cards we were allowed to include were cards that like were either on Innastrad or they had Innastrad art, or like they were like Innastrad flavored. So like if a core set card had a Innastrad guy in it or something, we could use that.
Like Captivating Vampire, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but Hermit Druid That Hermit Druid was originally
Heard.
from like the Wrath cycle, right? Tempest. So
Stronghold, I
yeah.
want to say.
yeah, so that one was not a card we were allowed to include in the set. So that's one of the differences from like when I handed off to what the final product
Yeah.
ended up being.
But it's very Innastrad. It mills itself.
Yeah, it
mill,
totally is. Yeah, like the flavor of the card is very Innastrad, and also like the mechanics. You know, milling a bunch of cards and filling your graveyard with creatures is super Innastrad.
Yeah, and you know what? Getting those lands, which helps fuel your tireless tracker. Now with actual landfall. But
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And also Maelstrom Pulse is another card that was originally an Alara block. But gets an Innistrad makeover here.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to reprint cool cards with like different flavor treatments, and this is one example of that.
Yep. And Captivating Vampire, again, a loud reason to go vampires here.
Oh yeah. This card's crazy in the all vampire deck.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. And again, we will see some pretty cool booster fun versions of some of these coming up. All right, next up. Again, more reasons to go, hey, how do you get 5 vampires?
That's right, Cawstick.
This is a
You
card
tell
I
him.
lost to a lot in draft. Also, I think
Everyone
I won
did.
with it sometimes in draft too. I believe I top 8'd a GP with this card in one of my decks.
Yeah. Mythic is a good place for this. This card just straight up wins games on its own a lot of the time. Creating 2/2 black
Tap,
vampires.
make a vampire. Yeah, that's a very powerful ability.
Yeah. Well, and I love with the Captivating Vampire, there's sort of a sub theme of getting 5 vampires in play. Get 5 vampires in play, you're probably doing all right.
You don't even need to transform this. Just make 2/2s
Just
all day.
keep making 2/2s, yeah. All right. Yeah, Terror of limited formats. Never really made much of an impact on Constructed, but definitely goes in vampire-focused commander decks, where it's super easy to
For
get
now,
5 vampires
Cawstick.
in play.
It's a good
So
card.
This is a pretty cool
I don't
one.
even know if I have one. I'm gonna see.
Next up. Oh, our boy.
Oh,
Yep.
snap.
Pioneer All-Star.
Yeah.
Or former Pioneer
Former
All-Star.
Pioneer All-Star. You know, this still gets played in Timeless. But yeah, there's, this card is going to be good as long as it's in a format with top-end vampires that you want to get into play. Very cool card. No longer playable in Pioneer, but,
Yep, I remember working on this card back in whatever core set it was originally in, and our goal was to power up the vampire deck from the previous year. And we were like, all right, what's the most expensive vampire you can cheat in? And it was like some 5-drop that drew cards or something. And we were like, this card will be fine. Vampires are not usually that big or expensive. What could go wrong? And then, years later, something goes wrong.
Something went wrong. We printed a 6-mana vampire. It was 5 mana, good. 6-mana vampire, less good. This is still, like I said, really powerful card. Again, if you're going to be playing vampires in Commander, this is really strong. Again, if we ever print another giant vampire, this could see play in Eternal formats. I play a lot of Timeless on Arena, where this card's legal, and it gets played because there's a 7-mana vampire that's ridiculous. So this card can see a lot of play in other formats, but banned in Pioneer. All right, next up. Now this is one of those non-Innistrad cards.
Yeah, like
Not sure about
again,
the Hermit.
We didn't have access to a card like this when I was working on the set, and then we opened it up. But yeah, another example of a card that was originally not flavored as Innistrad at all, and then we could like say, oh, actually, like what is the most common thing to cheat out with through the reach? Oh, it's Emrakul. So just like throw some Emrakul art in there for some good flavor for your cubes and stuff.
Yeah, and you can see Nahiri there in the foreground,
Oh, yeah.
real small.
Yeah, very cool.
Very cool. And again, this is going to have some pretty cool booster fun versions as well. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if what the biggest thing you can put into play when drafting this is. There are some hits in this set. I will say that there are some Through the Breach hits. I don't think we're revealing. Oh, we're revealing one today. There's at least one hit on our preview list today, but there's a couple hits in the set that you might want to through the breach. You're never going to splice onto Arcane.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we
That's
only did
not
that
going to happen.
in Kamigawa block.
That's flavor text. All right. Let's move on to our good buddy Arlen Cord
Yep, our first double-faced planeswalker, right?
I want to see the special art.
And bringing out the werewolves. So there are going to be werewolves in this set. And Arlen Gord's going to often be the lead of those. Another mythic. Arlen's just fantastic. If you open this, draft it.
Yep, just a cool gal.
Yep. All right. And then...
Oh, the
Gitrog, of
How
course.
can we not have the original, the OG Gitrog monster?
Got that little arm in that guy's mouth. Yeah, super fun. In Commander, I also play this in Brawl on Arena, Historic Brawl. One of my favorite formats on Arena.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everyone calls it the Get Frog.
And then for all the nostalgia, we have Tommy.
Oh, yep. This I worked on this card a lot because this was Eldritch Moon, one of the first sets I was on. So I remember developing this one. Planeswalkers that are 3 colors are just always so tough to get right.
Yeah.
So this saw some standard play, but
It's
not
a
as much
little
as
bit
we
yeah.
anticipated.
Yeah, but also just it's Tomio. I always like to see Tomio back.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yep.
All right, and then what's our next slide? Let's move on to our next slide. Those are the cards. So those are the cards we're going to see, but now we're going to look at some booster fun. So let's start running through those. Now, as we go through the booster fun, just real quickly so that everyone knows. So generally speaking, there are only Innastrad Remastered comes in 2 different packs. There are play boosters and then there are collector boosters. So most everything that we're going to be showing you can be found in play boosters. There's going to be 2 exceptions. Collector boosters are going to be the only place to find the movie poster frame treatment.
Yep.
We'll show those in a bit. And then also retro frame cards are going to come in every play booster, but they're only going to be in non-foil. Traditional foil retro frame cards are going to come in the collector boosters. So with that said, let's start taking a look at some really pretty cards, starting with some retro frame basic lands. This is one of my favorite things we do. I love the retro frame.
Oh, yeah. These are super cool. I love the retro frame. Oh, just lots of nostalgia for me. Like, I know that it can be controversial. Like, the newer players like, why do you like this? But the players who started with this frame are, like, very into it, and I'm one of them.
Yeah. No, these are gorgeous. I love all of these. We've got some fantastic pieces from fantastic artists, all with that retro frame. Just lovely. All right, let's see some more retro frame stuff. If you're a fan of retro frame, we've got you covered. So a lot of these appearing in retro frame for the first time. I love the colorless retro frame because it didn't actually exist back then.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these are great. Like, I love the Through the Breach. That one's really nice. The Blood Artist is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Blood Artist, all of these, the Blood Artist is my favorite. I do like the green retro frame as well. And of course, it always makes me smile when we see the little gravestone.
Oh, yeah.
On Forbidden Alchemy. Yep.
Back from the 2001 days.
Yep.
Odyssey.
All right, and then more retro frames. Those gold, the gold cards in retro just look gorgeous. The Butcher's Cleaver with the artifact frame.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, Blood Tithe Harvester is going to be a nice one for Pioneer and competitive formats. It's a nice one to have in that style.
Gitrog's going to make its way into a lot of Commander decks.
The problem is you can't really read them. Like, I know what they are, but you know what I mean? Very hard to see the
let's
gold.
Move on to
White
the
on gold.
next slide here.
And here's our
That's
Sorin.
cool.
Here's Sorin, the retro planeswalker. I also love the retro planeswalkers. We did these first in a secret layer, and they were really cool and really popular.
Oh, is that the one that it was like Teferi?
There we also did the like old wording.
Yeah. I loved that wording. Like I bought one of those secret layers. Like I just thought it was so funny.
Yeah. The wording here is
Yeah, this
correct
wording is
to the rules.
normal. The one that we're talking about, it was not normal. It said things like, "When Teferi has no more counters,
Yeah.
he abandons you," which I just thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
But no, this one uses at least.
I don't-
I'm
I'm not
still really
a
cool looking
fan.
card.
I like his different art.
Looks fantastic in the
order,
retro frame.
but eh.
Sorin Imperious Bloodlord. And now let's take a look at this one.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So this one is retro only. So I
Retro
sort of
only.
misspoke when I said you could through the breach this, because the retro only cards are found in collector boosters. So this is not going to be found in play boosters, I believe. There are a few cards, Snapcaster Mage is one we revealed earlier, that are in retro only that you will find in collector boosters. So this is Craterhoof Behemoth.
Only in
I'm
collectors.
sure lots of
Nice.
Commander players are going to want
Right?
this one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I have to pay more.
All in the retro frame. All right, and then we've got some double-faced retro cards. Town
That's
Gazamonger.
kind of cool.
Cool.
I also love that.
I just don't
the
like
double-faced
a
cards have little
retro and the
triangles there
planeswalker. it's weird.
in the upper left hand and the upper right hand. Yeah,
Interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't notice that.
all new. A little indicator.
Okay.
Also did not exist the first time around. And then we've got, we had to go this direction, obviously. So we've got Aberrant Researcher, Perfected Form.
Interesting though,
And then
because
we've
that
got,
means
of course,
the foils might
Retro
have a
Frame
little bit
Delver
more
of
value,
Secrets.
only because the retro foils will be in collectors only.
I'm surprised this one has
Interesting.
not already been retro frame. I don't know. We do retro frame often enough these days.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think Delver has a retro frame
Yeah,
yet. I could be wrong about that.
I'm sure
but I don't
chat
think
will
it is.
correct us if
Probably.
we're wrong.
Yeah. No,
But
Del-
it just seems like a great candidate for a retro frame for when we started doing them, because a lot of legacy
it
players
sees
would
play
want
and sees
this.
play in Legacy. Yeah, it sees a lot less play these days, but who knows? Maybe Delver will come back. Maybe people will just be like, you know what? It's retro.
Yeah, I guess I haven't
playing
played
it.
Legacy in so long. Like when I was playing Delver was super popular.
All right. Next up, Thinking the Ice. I love having this in retro.
Yeah, this looks great in retro.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite Innistrad cards. This will go in my all retro frame commander deck for sure.
Popular in cubes.
Yep. Really strong there. Great in any sort of spell slinger sort of deck. All right, and then ready to terrorize your limited games, but looking
Yep.
snappy while doing it. Bloodline Keeper.
That's not
I
bad.
remember drafting back then, you had to reveal all of your double face cards that you opened, and everybody knew if you opened the Bloodline Keeper. It was sad.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you got to have Bloodline Keeper in your deck. So, you know.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it was like kind of a double-edged sword, because
Yeah.
you got a Bloodline Keeper, but then maybe
Everybody
other
knew
people
you
would
had a
cut
Bloodline
black from
Keeper.
you,
Yeah.
or like everybody knew about it. So
And we're not done with the fancy planeswalkers, because we also get
oh, nice.
Arlen Cord in the Showcase Equinox. So this is one of the cool things. If you didn't see the preview show in December, so we brought back several of the frames, including the Equinox frame for any werewolf-aligned cards. And then another version of Bloodline Keeper. So we have the Fang frame for vampires.
Ooh, the
Brother,
Fang frame.
ew.
Fang
Neat.
frame.
What's that?
I think I prefer the retro.
Yeah, that's
Ooh,
totally
Yeah.
fair. But this one does get new art.
Uh,
I love the transformation. Bloodline Keeper gets a little nastier once it turns into Lord of Lineage. So yeah, if you want a Bloodline Keeper, you've got several different options here. And then we've also got some borderless cards.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, no, these are
Braid.
these are fantastic. Yeah, a Braid is a multi-format all-star.
oh, that Soren looks
Can
nice.
get played a lot of places.
Oh yeah.
Tireless Tracker. Again, really popular card. Gets played a ton in Commander. Gets played in some other formats. And again, Stupid Sexy Soren coming forward again.
Yep.
All right. And then our final fantastic treatment is the movie poster treatment. And these are hot.
Get Wreck's
so
pretty
these
cool.
are going to be only found in collector boosters.
Of course.
But boy, when you open these.
I love this Gitrog monster. He's just a little frog peeking his head out.
He's just a little guy. He's just a little big guy. Yeah,
Right.
the Hermit Druid.
The Hermit Druid is also
super cool.
really cool.
Yep.
And yeah, again with the Through the Breach with the Emrakul, that's just funny.
The Through the Breach is so, and again, it's got Nahiri standing right up front.
Yep.
The spaghetti tentacles ready to go.
Shout out to our art directors who are like kind of managing all these different treatments and like, making sure that the Through the Breach gets like the Emrakul with the Nahiri on like both treatments.
Yep. All right. That is all we have to show off today. So previews are going on today. There's going to be some more tomorrow, and then the full card image gallery will come after that. So we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. We will answer what we can. Now, Melissa, again, worked on the first iteration of the set and not on some of the final stuff. I will say, if you want details on what drops where and in what slots, head to dailymtg.com. There is a collecting. If you Google collecting Innastrad Remastered, the top result will get you, I think it's actually called 4 Things to Know About Collecting Innastrad Remastered, something like that. So that's going to be on djlMTG. Then that'll give you details on that. And so we'll answer any questions we can about Innastrad Remastered. A couple that I've seen that I know people are asking. So one, is this going to be available on Arena? It's not. So the set is not going to be available on MTG Arena. And then, is this set standard legal? Also, it is not. This is an all reprint set. Any of the cards in this set, their legality doesn't change. So there are some cards in it that are already standard legal, like a Braid that we saw, that obviously you can play in standard, but this does not change legality at all.
It might change some pauper legality if there was any downshifts.
There may be some downshifts, yes. I believe
that was December 3rd.
Back in December that there were a couple. Will there be a pre-release for this event? So the same that we've done with remastered sets in the past, it's not exactly a pre-release. We call them preview events. They're more or less the same thing. So it's not pre-release packs, but if you talk to your local game store, WPN stores will be running preview events. There we go. Not this weekend, but next weekend. So next week, math, like the 16th, I think is when they're going to start. So check with your local game store. Make sure you sign up for those. It's a really fun draft format. It's so cool. These remastered sets always have a lot of interesting things going on in them.
Yep. Remastered sets are always really fun.
Yep.
If you're an old school player, you'll love it. And like, even if you're a newer player, it's still something to check out. It's a little bit more complicated than our standard releases in terms of draft play.
Yep. But especially if you're a fan of any of the older Innistrad sets, you're going to definitely get that hit of nostalgia and walk away with some pretty cool cards too.
And it's just a new experience because we've drafted Innistrad, we've drafted Shadows over Innistrad.
Mm-hmm.
But like combining all the sets together just gives you this like new experience that no one's ever seen before, and it's awesome.
Yep. All right, let's look at some of the questions. Can you say how many Innistradified reprints will be included if you know? Neither of us know off the top of our head, but I believe, so if you go, we did a show back in December with Athena Frolik. I think we said it in that show. I do not remember exactly how many off the top of my head. It's not a ton. I want to say it's single digits-ish. Or maybe around 10. Anyway, it's not a huge number, but enough that are cool and flavorful. When is the full card image gallery up? It's up at the, I think Thursday. Is that the 9th?
Damn.
Let's see. Is day night in the set? I feel like we remarked on that before, but do you happen to know?
So again, when I was working on the set, we didn't use the later Innistrad
Yeah.
sets. But so I don't actually know the answer. If I were to guess, I would say probably not, because I think the new werewolves and the old werewolves, they just do not really play well together.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I would be surprised if we didn't include some of the more popular cards that have day night. So, unfortunately,
I cannot think of. I'll put it this way: I cannot think of any off the top of my head, but I'm not going to rule it out. All right. Can we simplify the styles? Even the presenters got it wrong. Okay, so to be fair, again, so the lead of this set was JC Tao, and he's left the company and moved on. And actually, interestingly, if you want to hear JC's perspective on Innistrad Remastered, he recorded a Drive to Work podcast with Mark Rosewater, and that's going to be coming out this Friday. So if you want to hear from JC on Innistrad Remastered and all of that, you can definitely check in there. Yeah, and let's see.
Yeah, our timelines can be super weird for remastered sets, because I was working on the set in 2020.
Yeah.
It's 2025. Like,
Yep.
that's a long time ago.
Yep.
Yeah, things change
Things do
significantly.
change.
In
Can
that
you
time.
hint at the rare land cycles for the set? I cannot. I will say, so previews are going to be pretty tight. So today, tomorrow, and then the full card image gallery after that. So it's going to be pretty quick through this. Can you talk about the process of what cards got the Innistrad re-theming? Was it cards that fit well with draft, cards that fit the theme, cards that needed reprints, or a combo of them? So again, the iteration that Melissa worked on didn't have those, but
like generally we factor in all of those things
Yeah.
when we're doing this. So for limited, for example, if there is a hole in limited that we need to fill, and we're struggling to fill it with just the Innistrad cards,
Mhm.
we could look to other sets, like if the hole is like, oh, we need the specific removal spell or the specific mana value creature or
Yeah.
something. We could look at other sets and then just re-give it that treatment.
Mhm.
So that is something. And then also cards that are cool that people want to play in constructed or cubes or whatever that we think would be like just cool in this treatment, we'll do that. So really,
I don't think anyone
all
saw
of these
Hermit
things.
Druid coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly did not see
Yeah.
Hermit Druid coming either. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those things get considered. And I think Athena, when she was on the show in December, said much the same thing. Let's see. Yes, we did show off spider spawning already. Are there any commander precons? No. So Innistrad Remastered, there's only going to be 2 ways to purchase it. There's going to be play boosters and collector boosters. Let's see. What else? Will we see the Forgotten Sister, the white-black Archangel, return to the main Innistrad set ever? What about the plane giving birth to new Archangel sisters to replace the dead ones? Maybe. We'll see. Return to Innistrad.
Yeah.
In 2036. I don't know.
We just made that up.
Yeah.
That's not actually
None
true.
of that is true. Could we have a retro frame Isochron Scepter one day, please? Noted. Take that one back.
Yeah,
to the
well,
crew.
that is a Mirrodin card.
Mhm.
We have not done a Mirrodin
We have not
remastered
done
yet,
Mirrodin
so
Remastered yet.
you never know.
Can you hint on when Ether Drift spoilers start? I can just straight up
And you
tell
do
you, 'cause
remastered,
that's one of my notes here is that the upcoming weekly MTGs. So next week we're going to actually be opening Innistrad Remastered. We'll open it right here on stream. We'll play boosters, collector boosters, so you can see all of the things we're talking about, the different slots in the packs, what the opening experience will be like, what the draft packs are going to look like, the play boosters, and we'll talk all about that. So we'll do that next week. The week after that, the 21st, is when we have the debut for Ether Drift. Yeah, so pay attention then. We may have some story leading up to that. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, so I can just straight up tell you that. All right, what else? Melissa, what is your favorite? Yeah, maybe give me a top 3 cards from the world of Innistrad.
Okay. Restoration Angel is up there because I did play that in the deck that I top-aided the Pro Tour with, so
Mhm.
that one will always have a special place in my heart. I have a print of that on my wall. Also, it's really hard to pick only 3. I can probably like talk about cards I like forever. I love drafting spider spawning. If there is a spider spawning
Yeah.
in a draft set, I'm gonna try and draft it. So love that card in that archetype. Let's see. Like, I really enjoyed working on the werewolves from the most recent Innistrad. Like, one of the cards I designed was Tovalar, the werewolf from Crimson. No, not Crimson Vow. Midnight Hunt. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That was when I first was started working on Commander.
No, I don't
And
sparkle cane.
I wanted to make a
But yeah, it
werewolf
is
commander
weird.
that people would
I don't
be
stream during the
excited
day
to put in
because
their
the lighting's horrible
like
right
be
now.
the head of their commander decks.
So
Ulrich from Eldritch
Well, yeah, I
Moon, that one
glow
was not it.
That was not,
angelically
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, so I
green
wanted to
early.
like give players a cool commander werewolf.
But don't
and,
sparkle. No sparkling.
Tovalar was pretty well received, so that card will also always have a special place in my heart.
Cool. Okay, so someone noted, all right, here, if you haven't opened your email, this is sort of a preview. Avison Angel of Hope just got spoiled via email. Check
Nice.
your email.
All right.
Is that a retro border only card? So I believe the answer is yes, that it is retro border only.
I'm
but
sure
I
it's coming, KSP.
believe there's also a movie poster.
Yeah,
version.
I sparkled these.
If producer Sean is really good, we had these on a slide. If we may not be able to pull them up. That is me hoping and dreaming, but we may have access to them now that they've gone out.
Oh, we might have a treat.
Yep. Where did you get your shirt? It looks really nice. Thanks. I don't know, but thank you. Here, I don't have any other questions, but thank you, Melissa, for all your work on Innistrad. It's my favorite plane, and I love the cards, and I'm glad we get to have this as a love letter to the plane.
As they
You're
should.
welcome.
Yeah, and
Much
it really,
appreciated.
yeah, it really is a love letter to the plane. I mean, you and I have been playing since
He's got to know because
earlier
he
than
buys
we
them
did
in
Forever.
bulk,
Yep.
bro.
But
He has
yeah,
the
it
same
just-
similar shirt
there's a
on
lot
like,
of
all the
nostalgia
time.
hits, and anyone who's enjoyed any of the Innistrad sets is going to find stuff to love in here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. When will more commons be revealed? I'm eager to see downshifts for Pauper. So again, there's going to be more previews today and tomorrow. And then I believe the full set is going to be up on the 9th. And then Melissa asking in advance for an Innistrad Remastered draft at MC Chicago.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
All
Come
right.
find me. I'll probably have packs. I'll try and get packs at least.
There you go. All right. I think that covers all of the questions that we are able to answer. And as it so happens, we are just about out of time. Thanks for sticking with us through some sound issues right at the start, but we recovered nicely. Innistrad Remastered previews are going on this week. And then the following week, you're going to get preview events at your local game store if they're a WPN member. So be sure to check with your local game store, see if they're offering preview events. And then Innistrad Remastered releases the week after that everywhere. Really cool set, great hit of nostalgia. So much going on, a lot of cool treatments. And then next week, we are going to open Innistrad Remastered. And then the week after that, on the 21st, we're going to start with the debut for Ether Drift. So
All right.
thank you for tuning in.
For that,
Thank
we'll
you, Melissa, for
definitely
joining
be
us.
there for that
Anytime.
one
Thanks for having
on the
me.
21st. Probably skip next week's. I only catch this on a very rare occasion. So it's very strange to see me on during the day, but I did want to see if there was any other value. Cawstick pretty much called out the value they showed today. We had like a 30, a 17, an 11, and a 6. So big value, guys. All right. Well, do want to say we did update the thingamajig. So the end credits now has all the new members that were gifted over Christmas. Congratulations, everyone. You might have to pause it real quick to catch it, but also the patrons and all that. So it's all updated. All right, when you'll see me next, I don't know. Thursday for sure. I am gonna make it try. Hopefully I get better, but we'll see. But yes, I hope you guys have a great one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.